Welcome back. You're still tuned into Mid Morning Talk with myself, Maimoona Mabena. And right now we have a very incredible guest joining us, chairperson of Innovating Kasi, a community based organization, and of which, under her leadership, the organization has established two initiatives: Generation I Am Woke, which promotes youth civic education and active citizenship, and the Mother and Daughter Movement, which empowers women and girls through mentorship and community support. Also, Esther began her career in the creative sector. Currently, she serves as the national organizer of the Union Against Hunger, leading grassroots campaigns that promote the constitutional right to food and address hunger and inequality. Now, she serves on the secretariat of the 50th anniversary commemoration of the 1976 June 16 Soweto uprising. Ms. Padi, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to Salam Media.
Hey, Mama Mabena, how are you?
I'm good,
Thank
thanks. And
you
how are you?
so much. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. And good day to all your listeners.
Now, before we get into our conversation, I always start off with something light, I so believe.
Okay.
Beyond your titles, how would you describe yourself using three words and why those words?
You okay? That's a very difficult question to answer all the time. But I would generally describe myself as an activist. I'm an activist, number one, and number two, I maybe that's my baby, but I am a creative
Okay.
and also I don't know what the last part would be.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm a mother. I'm a new mother. That's how
oh, congratulations. I
it's
almost
always
said think
difficult.
about it and then you let us know because we want the three. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much for that, Miss Patty. Now, coming back to something that is quite alarming. I mean, when I was looking into hunger
Mm-hmm.
and seeing that actually millions of people are affected or rather go to bed hungry, and
Yeah.
it's quite sad to see. And we know that we have all these retails, we have restaurants, and we, myself included, we oftenly discard food and like, I'm so full, or you take that doggy bag and you don't even eat it. And I just want to find out from you, um before we get, I like saying before we get to understanding your work and how we can also come in and join into the fight against hunger. How did you now land into community organizing from being a creative to
Mm.
now saying, I think I gotta put my sleeves up, put my techies on, and walk the streets and really fight against hunger?
Okay. So this is how it started. I was a student at a MPO institution called SARA,
Okay.
the South African Roadies Association. We were exposed to a lot as a young youth at the time that just coming straight from Kokasi and not have been exposed in such a big industry, which is an economic industry as well, a creative economy that we understood later that it's not being tapped into.
Hmm.
And I think being a creative, I then met with a group of creatives who felt that we need this institution to grow, but more than anything, we need to take this skill back to community.
Okay.
And then we started an organization called Innovating Casti Organization, which also started from different elements, truly, because what instigated us to really push to start the organization is because we were concerned about these young teenagers around 13, 15, who would be always sitting at a corner around 7 o'clock. And we were wondering, why are they not at home, right?
Mm.
So we had a conversation with them, just to be short, and then they told us they are social, they are home status, how they are living at home, and a number of them just say that, we are living with our grandfather, he's hiding food. The other one said, hey, my mom is not working and all that. So we then had to take turns to cook for those children, and it became more than just cooking. They had food, but we then said, let us teach them some skills to dance and all of those things. But overall, we then organized ourselves, registered the organization, in 2008, and then our mission was to help 10 artistic schools into a career. And we believe that if our country's creative um, economy and industry can be organized or on a local level, I think people would then not see an artist or being an artist as a hobby, but we want to turn that into a business because it has a lot of potential to create so many jobs for other people. But
Hmm.
as long as artists understand that they are a business and they treat themselves as one, because we are tired of seeing artists dying poor.
Yes.
And that's how it became. But unfortunately, being in that space has then introduced us to a lot of social issues.
Hmm.
Hence, the development or the creation of Generation Amok and the mother and daughter movement, because we then had to tap into a space where we give people food parcels. And remember, as an artist, as a celebrity, it's not easy to go to a clinic. People assume
Hmm.
that you have all the money in the world because they've seen you on TV.
Hmm.
And then we had to become their refuge to then say if they are hungry, because artists don't earn a salary every month. They are not considered as laborers, and that's one of our battles to say we need them to be recognized as laborers and earn a UIF like every other worker.
Hmm.
But when it is their dry season, they don't have food, they don't have any means. So we had to think about how we organize food parcels for them. That also even included the sanitary towels.
Hmm.
So that's how we then tapped into the social space in our communities, dealing with social ills, and then having to become to organize to make sure we end the craziness we saw, and yeah, this lack of uh, undeveloped community. And we then realized it's also not because they're not interested or they're lazy, but the system is just pushing our people backwards instead of taking us forward.
Hmm. And now looking at your current position as a secretary of the Union Against Hunger, can you tell me about your journey in this particular union?
So I've joined the Union Against Hunger a year ago. We are 2 years old, I think. We are almost getting there. We launched actually, the Union Against Hunger was launched last year on the 26th of February. And we had our first engagement, big engagement, as we were launching ourselves in the community last year, May the 28th, because we are always commemorating World Hunger Day. So the Union Against Hunger obviously met me in my organizing space, and we then felt that we need to go back to communities and really share this very, very crucial um, intel with them, because we have a book that is called the Constitution.
Hmm.
And the Constitution has two rights that are important for us at the moment as the Union Against Hunger. One is Section 27, that is stating that everyone has the right to sufficient food. And I want you to underline sufficient. And
Hmm.
it says everyone. It doesn't say those who are employed, those who are black or white. It says everyone in this country. Section 28 of the Constitution says every child has a right to basic nutritious food,
Hmm.
and that right must be adhered to immediately. So we are working. We call ourselves the Union Against Hunger because we consider ourselves a movement of movements. Our mission is to politicize hunger and also conscientize communities about their constitutional rights, and also amplify the work that is being done already by those who have been fighting hunger in their spaces. So we then felt it is high time we take the research that has been built up by academics and different institutions that have led us to knowing that we have 20 million South Africans in this country who always wonder where their next meal is going to come from.
Hmm.
And not everyone has the privilege to have 3 meals in a day. And unfortunately, out of those statistics, which are shocking, 30 children die every day because of malnutrition in this country. And we cannot keep quiet and it becomes business as usual. So that's the battle. We are fighting to end hunger, but moreover, we can no longer have children and everyone else dying because they are hungry whilst they have a constitutional right that is saying they have a right to sufficient food.
Mm. And just being on the ground and witnessing in like firsthand
Mm,
how hunger really affects not only just adults but sadly also the children. In
mm.
your experience, how does food insecurity affect women and girls differently from men in township, if there is a disproportion?
I think women are always, um, so we are the mostly marginalized and we are the face of poverty. So we always find ourselves at the forefront of this inequality in this country. And we are the first to suffer because if you can think about it, how many women who are single parents in this country?
Mm.
There's a lot, right? And women who are giving birth to the same young girls who go through the same cycle. So the chain does not easily break, right? We are continuing the same chains our parents, our mothers have been through. Some try to break it, but it's not as easy because most of us are born immediately into inequality.
you know
And women, so, oh, sorry, just my last point. And women are finding themselves having to take care of a household, got a zero budget. So you can think about the scenarios that I can share from the previous workshop we had this past week, where we were told that in Fosloras, now some women in the squatter camps would just go to scrap yards,
Hmm.
and if those guys, they shelter them, they would then propose to them and then say, and the ladies would just say, just buy me a gota and cold drink, and then I'm your girlfriend.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a very sad reality that women are, living with. But Miss Buddy, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back, I want us to continue our conversation, and I want us to talk more about how you've advocated for a maternal grant and what that would mean for communities and what that would mean for the country itself. But do not go too far. Viewers at home, do come back and join in on this conversation, and do not forget to share with us your questions if you have any questions for Ms. Padi, who is very active in fighting against hunger.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Dad, these Frymax chips are so tasty.
Wow, that really takes me back. My dad bought me a Frymax chips every day after school. They were my favorite when I was your age as well. Quality is at the very heart of what we do, and that's why we ensure that every Frymax packet is filled with the beautiful goodness and flavor-packed taste that you've come to expect from us since 1982. Frymax, from generation to generation.
You South African, of course. You anxious about the future. We've got you covered. Build on your wealth portfolio with Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange. Visit us at 151 Stephen Dlamini Road, Musgrave, Durban, or call us on 031 202 4700 for more information. Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
Give the gift of clean water with Africa Muslims Agency. With every water well or borehole you donate, your drop becomes a river. reconnecting communities to nourishment, education, dignity, and empowerment. Sponsor a water well for 17,000 Rand in Africa, or a borehole for 65,000 Rand in Afghanistan or Africa. Quench the thirst. Reconnect the soul with Africa Muslims Agency.
Are you banking with convenience, transparency, and flexibility? With Al Baraka Bank's transactional banking account, you can enjoy convenient everyday banking designed around your needs. Benefit from zero fees on point-of-sale transactions and manage your banking easily through Al Baraka's secure mobile banking app and internet banking platform. From everyday payments to managing your personal or business banking, Al Baraka makes banking simple, transparent, and convenient. Visit albaraka.co.za to learn more. Al Baraka, your partner bank. Al Baraka Bank Limited is an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners, to Salam Media's mid-morning talk with myself, Maimoona Mabena, and we are in conversation with Esther Padi, who is a secretary of the Union Against Hunger. Now, previously, she shared very scary scenarios of, what individuals, even children, have to go through in terms of, going to bed hungry or just not having enough food. And just continuing the conversation, Miss Padi, as I said before the ad break, I'd like for you to talk to us about the maternal grant. How exactly would such a grant change the daily realities of mothers in low-income communities?
Okay, so I did mention earlier that we are a union and we have members under the union. And one of our members who is really championing the first 1,000 days of the child is called Grow Great. So they have been pushing for that, and we also understand why it is needed. And I think people get alarmed when we spoke about another grant, but basically the maternal grant will be there to assist us to make sure that children they're not born malnutrition, right? Because the first 1,000 days of a child, it's from day 1 to when they are 2 years old. It's very crucial for their mental development and every other development you can imagine a human being must have. And if we skip that 1,000 days without them receiving the nutritious food they are supposed to receive, also getting breastfed properly, or be on formula if the mothers can't breastfeed, we can reverse the damage that will be caused. And if we don't step up and do anything about it, it means the future of this country will be doomed if we're having children who won't be able to actively participate in building the economy and the development of this country in general.
And with that, are there any other, solutions that the union is working on in terms of, fighting against this crisis of hunger?
Yes, so we have 10 demands as the Union Against Hunger, and they are not cast in stone, but our mission is to make sure that we influence policy and legislation when it comes to food. If you didn't know, we are still grappling to make sure that this country has a food security bill. And other countries do have it. We don't have it, right? And the Department of Agriculture is supposed to execute what we call a National Food Nutritious Security Plan that will then speak to a farmer from the ground to the food that we eat and how jobs can be created specifically on food security and food production. We have a serious crisis when it comes to the food systems in general, from the farmers to the processors, then to retailers. Food in South Africa is very expensive and so unnecessarily so. We have 17 million plus, if I still remember my statistics, of people who are dependent on 350 SRD grant. And unfortunately, even that 350 grant cannot allow you, even Iluena by yourself, to go into a retail store and buy 10 items that are nutritious for you and your family. You can't afford it because food is too expensive. There's no reason for us to buy maize meal for over 100 rand. And I don't know when was the last time you tried to buy peanut butter, which is very nutritious for children and babies. It is way too expensive. So our mission is to also fight to make sure that food prices are lowered. So those who are dependent on grants and who are not dependent on grant can be able to buy nutritious food. And remember, our mission is not for people to have access to food, but our mission is for South Africans to have access to nutritious food, because we have a lot of South Africans who eat and fill their stomachs, but most of the time they eat food that is not healthy just because those meals are cheaper than the nutritious ones. If you can think about it, how many families have access to eating pap, meat, and 2 vegetables every day? A vegetable is a 7 colors thing now. It's a Sunday thing. And how do we expect a nation to grow and participate actively in building the economy of this country, knowing the status of this country and where we are, if we are not a healthy bunch of people?
And with that, Ms. Padi, I want to find out what has been the response from the private sector, or should I say, retailers and restaurants, and also our government.
So we have been doing a number of pickets targeting the retailers, but our main target is ShopRite. And the reason why we are targeting ShopRite is because ShopRite is the main shareholder and has the biggest footprint in our community. And they make 20 million profit a day from the same communities who are poor, and they are the largest employer. But unfortunately, being the largest employer, even their employees cannot afford to fill a basket or a trolley of nutritious food from the salary they are paying, while their CEO is earning 83 million per annum. So we've targeted them to say, we are not asking you to drop your food prices on everything, right? Like your yogurts or Coca-Cola or those fancy things. We're just asking you to drop your food prices on 10 important items that every family cannot live without. Peanut butter, beans, eggs, milk, maize meal. No, those are nutritious food that we cannot live without. And unfortunately, they have been called. We've attempted to meet with them and also attempted to reach out to Woolworths, Pick n Pay, Spar, and they have been silent. But ShopRite is claiming that they are doing so much to assist communities, and they are claiming they are selling a bread for 5 rand and whatnot. But people who are around us have hardly seen that 5 rand bread. So their response basically is that they've been quiet. The president did, after we sent him our memorandum to intervene, he did write to them to say they should drop food prices because food prices are ridiculously high in South Africa. But we need beyond that. We need action. And there is a lot of great plans in our country, as you know, from government, but implementation is very poor and coordination is at its worst. So we are where we are because we have lack of coordination from government. And I mean, they can just say we will subsidize these important items, or they become tax-free and tax the things that are not healthy. But we are still stuck. We are aiming to fight a battle, and leading up to the World Food Day, which is in October, we are going to be pushing for the plan, the National Food Nutritious Plan, to be fulfilled so that we know how far we can go and we start to roll out the plan. They did promise it might take 10 years for us to get a complete plan, but we as the Union Against Hunger, we're saying people are dying with hunger now, children are dying now, we need action now.
And when you imagine South Africa 10 years from now, with women fully participating in social, economic, and political life, what does the country look and feel like? And lastly, how do we join in and support Union Against Hunger?
I always say when I'm a Mabena that women are the biggest shareholders in this country. And I think I did say earlier that we are taking care of households on a zero budget, but our homes are clean. Our kids go to school with clean uniform on a zero budget, right? Some can afford to do it, some can't. But I'm just saying that it is high time that women step up. We have stepped up in 1956, and there was the changes they wanted to see, they did see it. We can no longer continue as women to carry this burden of hunger as if it is our fault. Hunger is not anybody's fault. That's why the rights, we are amplifying that people understand Section 27. It is not anybody's fault that they are hungry today. The system has failed us. We have over 60% of young people who are not working, and women in that are still the majority, right? And think about it. Right now, families and households are led by the same youth that is unemployed. So we need to step up as women and fill the streets and go to the the president or whoever who's in charge and start to hold people accountable. I always remind people that this year is the local election. Your cross is the power that you've ever had in the constitution that is being implemented. Let's use this cross to make sure that we put hunger as number one in the agenda, because we cannot do anything or think about anything if we are hungry. Women can't be productive. Women can't think innovative enough because they are worried every day they wake up where the next meal for them and their children is going to come from. And all of their energy ends up there, thinking every day where the next meal is going to come from. You can imagine how strenuous that is. So please visit the Union Against Hunger website, and you will find the ways to follow. I'm happy for you to share my numbers with your listeners. We need more women so that we can come together and just draw up our own plan, because we can't be giving birth to babies and they die. If children who are stunted don't last even 5 years, and we can't afford to have children who will not get a chance to participate economically in this country because their mothers are too hungry to even feed them when they are in their womb. We need to change the status quo. Hunger is not a sign of Ubuntu. Our elders used to take care of the villages because food was not a commodity. Now food is being used as a commodity, and all these 5 big retailers, Tiger Brands and all that, are listed as the JSE just because they are deciding how much a loaf of bread must be for them to make their shareholders happy. We need to put a stop to it.
Yo, Miss Esther Padi, you've really shared something that will leave us really pondering and asking ourselves on how we can, become the change and influence the necessary change that we need to see, not in just 10 years, but we need to see instantly in tomorrow or in 5 years or 2 years, and but with that, thank you so much for really taking the time and chatting with us and helping us understand the work that's being done by the Union Against Hunger. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and looking forward to hearing from you and your listeners very soon.
I mean, now feeding dignity and fighting against hunger. That was my guest, Esther Padi, and she's the secretary of the Union Against Hunger. Now, if you'd like to reach out to her, her number is 083 246 8736. Repeat that, 083 246 8736. For now, let's head over to an ad break. When we come back, we still got Megan to talk to us about all things women in activism.